What is going on, guys? Varun from Flyby Simulations here, and welcome back to yet another video on the channel. And as you can see, today we are doing something a tad bit different from our regular news content. Today we are, as you can see, located at Halifax Stanfield International Airport here in Canada, specifically Nova Scotia, Canada, and we're going to be taking this beautiful Boeing 787 Dreamliner, specifically the Boeing 787-8 modded by Kuro and Horizon Simulations, down to Quebec, Montreal in Quebec. I do have two very important things to showcase to you guys in today's video. Number one, of course, as the title suggests, is the Polystorm 3D advanced 4K textures for the Boeing 787 cockpit. So I have made a video very recently on my channel that basically talks about that in great detail, showcases some screenshots. But if you guys haven't watched that video, well, we're going to be checking it out live with you guys in just a second. Number two, of course, is our sponsor for this video, Tobii Gaming. So I have some interesting things to tell you about Tobii Gaming, including a way to win their $200+ US product, the Tobii Eye Tracker 5, absolutely for free. So quick note from our sponsor for today's video. For a limited time, my friends at Tobii Gaming are holding a sweepstake campaign allowing you guys to win their flagship product, the Tobii Eye Tracker 5, as well as a full Thrustmaster HOTAS for free. Now, if you don't know what the Tobii Eye Tracker 5 is, well, we'll be checking out extensively in today's video, but in a nutshell, it's a comprehensive eye and head tracking peripheral that takes the immersion within Microsoft Flight Simulator to another level. Incorporating next-generation tracking and intelligent sensor technology, it's as close to sitting inside your virtual cockpit as you can get. What I want you guys to do is to look out for a special code somewhere in this video that will appear for only 1 second. If you can find it and enter it in the link in the description section of the video, you can be part of Tobii's promotion and stand a chance to win your Tobii Eye Tracker absolutely for free. There's also a flat 15% off on all Tobii Eye Trackers using the link in the description section of the video, so definitely do check it out. As for today's flight, of course, as you can see, we are parked here at Gate 18 at Halifax International Airport, and the route will be popping up on the screen through the magic of editing for you guys, so you guys are going to be able to see. We are Air Canada 667 today, so without further ado, let's jump into the cockpit and get this baby up and ready for departure. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so welcome to the cockpit of the Boeing 787-8. First things first, then, let's get the IRS systems up and running. So let's get the IRS left and the right on. And down we go, down to the FMC to start programming this. So we have the departure airport. Let's go ahead and enter the flight number, Air Canada 667, as I just mentioned. Activate, execute. All right, going into the performance initialization page, let's get GSX up and running and start boarding this aircraft up. The default Boeing 787 textures, if you guys have experienced them, are very clean, you know, very out of factory and so on, but you can see near the coffee cup over here, there's a little bit of dirt and grime. Zooming in on the glare shield, you can see that there's, again, those little pieces of lint and the white pieces of cloth and stuff like that. Again, you can see something very similar over here on the central pedestal as well, those white little pieces. Of course, this isn't perfect, this isn't something to the level of quality wings, but for 11 or 12 euros that you can find this product on, in my opinion, it could be worth it. Anyways, with that all said, you can see that GSX is hard at work boarding the aircraft with all of the luggage and pellets and so on, and I'm sure passengers are also boarding the aircraft up. So now, according to our SimBrief flight plan, we were supposed to take around 11.9 tons of fuel, but we have put in a little bit of extra just in case. Our zero fuel weight for today is going to be automatically calculated at 143.4. Our cost index today is going to be 25, so let's go ahead and enter that in. And finally, our cruise altitude is going to be at the mighty height of flight level 400. So let's enter that in here as well, and perfect. The Dreamliner knows what it's doing. Now, if you guys are wondering when we're going to start showcasing the Tobii Eye Tracker 5, well, give us some time, ladies and gentlemen. Have some patience. Of course, I think the Tobii Eye Tracker personally shines, especially when I'm doing the taxi procedure, the takeoff procedure, or the landing. I personally don't like to use the Tobii Eye Tracker when I'm trying to plan my flight, click on the various buttons on the overhead panel. It's just my personal setup here in my dorm room doesn't feel conducive for that. But of course, you can choose to use the Tobii Eye Tracker as you see fit, especially if you're flying shorter aircraft, smaller general aviation aircraft. It could be used for all of that as well, but we're going to be checking the Tobii Eye Tracker out when we start pushing back this aircraft and start taxiing to the runway. And through the magic of editing, ladies and gentlemen, I have saved you the time of entering the actual flight plan within the FMC. So we are taking off of runway 5, and that gives us the following V speed. So we have the V1 of 131, VR of 134, so that's when we're going to be rotating, and V2 of 146, and that is pretty much our FMC pre-flight procedure completed. Next up then, I think it's important to get some air conditioning in for those passengers in the back, so let's go ahead and start up the APU. It's been a while since I've flown this aircraft, I'm not gonna lie. And let's also get these seatbelt signs up and running now that we have fueling done and finished in the aircraft. In the meantime, let's get the primary window heat valves up and running as well, so, you know, our windows don't get fogged up. I don't know what the temperature looks like right now. Let me get that information for you and be right back. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so we have the altimeter reading for today. It's going to be a pretty eye-watering number. It's going to be 3031, so it's pretty high up there. Clearly, the altimeter setting needs to be adjusted. I think it syncs over on both sides. Yes, it does, so nothing to be done there. But we have to sync it up on this side as well. So I think it happens to be 1026 hectopascals if I have to convert it from inches of mercury into hectopascals. And that is that pretty much done. Next up then, let's take a look at the charts and see how our departure is going to look like. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so this is the airport map for Halifax. So as we can see, we are located over here, and we're taking off of runway 05, which is going to be all the way on the other side. So that already tells me we're going to be doing a pushback left departure. We also know that the transition altitude here is 18,000 feet, and though we don't have a SID, our initial altitude is supposed to be around about 5,000 feet. So that's another thing we need to put into the MCP, or mode control panel. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so we have all the information we need. We know that our V speed included a V2 of 146, so let's go ahead and enter that in here. Let me just position myself properly. Here we go. 146 is going to be entered here as specified. Our heading is going to be 053 degrees, I believe. 053 degrees indeed, yes. So 053 degrees is going to be entered here, and our initial altitude is going to be 5,000 feet. So 5,000 feet is set. We're going to get the flight director on. That is automatically going to arm it on the other side as well. LNAV and VNAV can come on as well. VNAV might be a little bit challenging, so let's just keep that off because we don't have a standard instrument departure. I want a smooth departure out of here. I haven't flown the Kuro 787 in a while, and I don't know how it's going to do. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so we have everything pretty much prepared and ready to go for pushback and departure. So what are we waiting for? Let's get into the pushback procedure, and let's see what the Tobii Eye Tracker 5 has to offer during the taxi and takeoff procedure as well. Let's get into it. The jetway is being disconnected, and as the pushback procedure commences, we have some housekeeping items to take care of.
We are ready for pushback.
Alrighty, well, GSX seems to be ready for pushback. Let's go ahead and get the hydraulic pumps on. Let's get the electric pumps on as well. Let's go ahead and get the beacon light on to tell the ground personnel to vacate the premises because we are going to be starting the engines.
Release parking brakes, please.
Release parking brakes? Alrighty, let's go ahead and release parking brakes.
Push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Alright, we have the engine start clearance. We can go ahead and start both of them now in the Boeing 787. We're going to wait for the EGT and the N2 to start rising a little bit. And as it does that, the oil pressure is going to go up, and we're also going to inject fuel into both engines as well. Alrighty, and we have the Tobii Eye Tracker 5 up and running as well, as you can see, and ladies and gentlemen, as I look to the left and as I look to the right, everything looks absolutely fantastic. So she's telling us to set the parking brake. Well, we're going to look down and we're going to go ahead and set the parking brake.
Confirmation for a good engine start.
Alrighty, so we can go ahead and set the auto brake to RTO, and since we have all the engines started up properly, we can also go ahead and turn off the APU. So we can turn the APU generators off, and we can also go ahead and turn the APU itself off. Alright, well, she just said left is clear, right is clear. Let's do that check by ourselves. Of course, look, ma, no hands. So with the Tobii Eye Tracker 5, I can look left and I can look right and make sure that there's nothing in my way. And if everything looks good to go, we can go ahead and look at the overhead panel, turn on the taxi light, and that is us pretty much ready for taxi. So we can go ahead and disconnect the parking brake over here. and give the aircraft a little bit of oomph so we can start rolling on the taxiway over here. And now, this, what you guys are seeing right now, is entirely the magic of the Tobii eye tracker. Now, I know some of you guys might be wondering, what are the settings that I use for the Tobii eye tracker? Is it easy to set up? Well, I have done a video with the Tobii eye tracker in the past as well. Again, this is that video. You guys can find a link to it in the description section of the video as well if you guys want to check it out. But in that video, I talk about all of my settings and everything that I use to make sure that the Tobii eye tracker 5 functions as perfectly as possible for my own use case scenario. So do make sure to check that video out as well. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have to take my hands off of my joystick or my throttle quadrant. All I have to do is look in the direction, and I have a great way to immerse myself into the simulator even more. Tobii eye tracker 5 is really coming into the fray over here. Alrighty, so as we continue to taxi, I don't know if you skipped to this part of the video, but there is going to be a code somewhere in this video for you guys to actually win some massive prizes from Tobii Gaming, which includes a Tobii eye tracker 5, as well as a Thrustmaster HOTAS absolutely for free. So do make sure to stay on the lookout throughout the video. It's only going to pop up for 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. 1 second could mean the difference between you guys winning something and not winning something. So, of course, if you guys are enjoying, be sure to stay on the lookout. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so we are approaching our taxiway here, where we're going to have to take a left and get onto the runway. So as we approach closer, we are going to take care of the traffic radar. Let's get the weather radar up and running on my side. Let's also go ahead and get some positional data. So let's get the data, the POS data, and so on. We'll also go ahead and turn on TCAS in just a second. Let's turn the TCAS system to TARA. Alrighty, so let's take a left turn. Once again, no need to take my hands off my joystick. I can just simply look left, and this looks absolutely fantastic. So let's get onto the runway here. Again, can just take a quick left look and line this aircraft up perfectly for departure. I must say the runway textures do look fantastic over here. Alrighty, so let's get it in the middle here. Slow the aircraft down. We're going to be doing a standing takeoff out of here. Let's just make sure we don't have any pending items left to go. So we have the V2 speed set at 146. Auto throttle is armed. LNAV is on. VNAV has been left off by default. Let's go ahead and get the landing lights on. The runway turnoffs, actually they can stay off. I don't really necessarily need them. Taxi light can stay on. Strobe light can come on. And everything else pretty much looks ready for departure. So we can turn on the clock. And ladies and gentlemen, let's get out of here. So, parking brake comes off. Tobii eye tracker comes on. Let's go ahead and reset that. One more time. There we go. And pedal to the metal. Let's get some power in. 78.9% thrust. Keep it in the center. Airspeed is alive. 50 knots. Beautiful. 80 knots. Can really start feeling the aircraft now. 110 knots. And we're approaching V1. There we go. V1. Rotate. Beautiful departure out of Halifax, ladies and gentlemen. Positive rate of climb. Gear up. There we go. And though I should be looking at my instruments, I am compelled with Tobii eye tracker 5 to just take a look at the airport over there. Look at that. That looks fantastic. Alright, okay, back to the instruments we go. As we continue climbing, I am going to go ahead and turn on the VNAV so we get some vertical navigational guidance as well. And we're going to go ahead and turn on the autopilot at 2,500 feet. So there's 2,300, 2,400, and 2,500. So autopilot can go on there as well. And that's it. Hands-off controls. I'll let you guys enjoy some views of the takeoff and some departure views. And I'll be back with you guys in just a second. getting close to 10,000 feet in altitude over here, so let's also go ahead and turn off the landing lights. No longer need those. Taxi light can also come off, and we're pretty much all cleaned up. We can also go ahead and turn off the seatbelt signs so that the passengers can begin to move around. Wow, this is fantastic. This hands-free experience of just being able to look around, especially during landings, it does prove very, very helpful, which you guys are going to be seeing in just a second as soon as we start descending into Montreal. But pretty excited to show you guys this as well, because I've never done it in a large aircraft like the Dreamliner. But so far, the convenience of just being able to look around, go back, zoom in. Yeah, I use Tobii eye tracker for all of my flights personally, and yeah, I hope you guys can too with that sweepstake campaign. Now, one thing I also forgot to point out is that the Polystorm 3D textures over here in this part of the aircraft look absolutely stunning. Just look at this, right close to the gear compartment, as well as close to the auto brake switch. There's quite a bit of scratches and dirt and grime, and once again, as I said before, certain parts of the aircraft that are touched a lot, like the gear knob, like the auto brake knob, especially this part of the aircraft, it's gotten some extra attention to detail where there's a lot more scratches and scruffs, more indicative of a really used Boeing 787, which is fantastic to see. So around about 39 minutes into the flight, ladies and gentlemen, I think it is now time to begin planning for our top of descent point. So let's go ahead and turn off the Tobii Eye Tracker 5. I've just been enjoying some views in my spare time, but time to get down to serious business. So we are around about 80 nautical miles away from the top of descent point. We're going to go ahead and dial in a lower altitude on the MCP panel so that the automatic descent can be started. I'm going to go ahead and put around 18,000 feet, as that is the transition altitude here in Canada. Taking a look at some airport charts over here, we are going to be coming in at 06 left, so the runway heading is going to be 057 degrees. The runway length is going to be around about 3,353 meters, so that's plenty of runway. That means we can set the auto brake setting to around about maybe 2, I would say, so that we can vacate the runway a little bit quickly and start to taxi backwards towards the terminal. We can also get into the FMC and go ahead and set our VREF speed for arrival. So we're going to be doing a flap 30 arrival, and our VREF speed is going to be 134 degrees. With wind correction, we're going to be coming in at 134 plus 5, which is 139 knots. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so we're a little bit closer to the top of descent, and as you can see, I have my glasses turned on. This is a pretty common misconception that people think that people with glasses and so on, the glare or something will not be able to make the Tobii Eye Tracker 5 work well. That is a complete myth. The Tobii Eye Tracker 5, as you can clearly see, works perfectly fine because it uses laser dot projectors to be able to see where your eyes are, where your head is, and track it in its entirety, so wearing glasses is no problem. That being said, we are close enough to the top of descent. We have received clearance from air traffic control. There is really no air traffic control, I just made that up, but we are going to be starting our descent. So let's go ahead and give descent clearance. There we go. And the aircraft begins to descend down from 40,000 feet to 18,000 feet. Now, one other rather important parameter to set is, of course, the runway decision height. So, for ILS 06 left, the runway decision altitude is 300 feet or 200 feet for the decision height. So we can come back to the simulator and go ahead and set that parameter as well. So we are on the radio height, so we can go ahead and set, you can see it moving here. The barometric height, we can move it to 300 feet. 308, 54, 3210. 300 feet is set, and we are now pretty much good for descent and landing. All we have to make sure is that this aircraft does do it all successfully. As we continue to descend, some rather cloudy conditions over Montreal here as I look over the glare shield. It certainly is going to add to some of the dynamism within the approach. We're taking that left-hand turn parallel to the runway, as we can see the runway center line over there on the navigation display. So we're going to be going straight, taking a right-hand turn and coming straight down and landing on runway 06 left. So pretty exciting stuff. Alright, we're past the 18,000 feet transition altitude. Let's go ahead and switch from standard to local barometric pressure, 3033 inches of mercury. And ladies and gentlemen, here's a visual representation of the route. That right there is the runway 06 left. So we're going to be going straight, turning base, and then turning final right over there. So 3,000 feet at Zeltu, and then coming down using the ILS for runway 06 left. Let's make sure we can do it all right. Okay, so now we can start seeing some civilization over here, ladies and gentlemen. There's Montreal. I think that's downtown, if I'm not wrong. A lot of buildings over there. And there's the runway, of course, the airport. The clouds do definitely make this a very misty and very intriguing approach, so to speak. But yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed everything so far. If you guys have too, do make sure to leave this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more such content. Approaching 10,000 feet, we're also going to go ahead and get the landing lights on here, so landing lights can come on. And let's make sure that as we approach 10,000 feet, our speed is also below 250 knots. So let's actually get it down to 240 knots to make sure that we're not breaching any FAA regulations or anything like that. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, turning base leg for the runway approach 06 left. There we go. And as we start approaching the runway, let's also go ahead and take flap 1. Let's dial the runway heading to 057 degrees as well here. There we go. And we're going to turn on the Tobii eye tracker very shortly once we are established on the localizer and glide slope. We can go ahead and turn on flaps to flap 5. Or not flap 15, my apologies. Flap 5, that's good enough. And let's go ahead and see if we can't get the approach mode armed as well. We have the glide slope diamond appearing over there. Let's get 210 knots over here, flap 15, and let's get gear down. And we're going to go ahead and turn on the Tobii eye tracker as well. So reset the position of the Tobii eye tracker, and there we go. And everything is pretty much good to go. So I have everything that I need. Let's take lower flap positions. And if you remember, our VREF speed was around about 139 knots. So we're going to make sure that we can hit that on the primary flight display. This is wonderful. I have full control over my peripheral environment. So our speed is decreasing as our flaps come down. And we're also maintaining our glide slope and localizer. So we're going to try to stay on this for as long as possible. And I'll go ahead and disconnect the autopilot in just a second. Everything is being managed by the aircraft as we speak, apart from the speed. The speed is the only thing that I'm taking care of. 141 knots is what we're maintaining. As we pass 1,500 feet in the threshold altitude, I'll go ahead and disconnect the autopilot, and then the aircraft is all mine. 520, 5,000. There we go. 1,500. Autopilot disconnect. Cancel the recall message. There we go. And my aircraft, ladies and gentlemen. So, let's make sure that we come down nice and easy now. Look at this. Look, this is where the Tobii eye tracker shines. I would never have been able to look at my left like that, or look at the rest of my instruments, say hi to my co-pilot, adjust my angles, bleeding a little bit of speed as well, so we want to make sure everything is okay. Again, do keep in mind that I haven't flown in a long time, so please do not judge my landing. There we go, getting everything back on track. Let's make sure that we butter the bread. A little bit low on the glide, correcting. A little bit high on the speed, correcting for that as well. And we're a little bit high on the glide now, so correcting for that. Look at the scenery here, beautiful. Coming down onto the runway. Getting a few micro stutters, sorry about that. And lowering the speed down. Wow, a lot of stutters. This airport is very, very unoptimized, isn't it? There we go. Okay, 135 knots, making sure everything is okay. Coming down nice and easy. Don't want to float it. Here we go. 134 knots, perfect. Over the runway threshold. Start flaring the aircraft gently. Throttles all the way back. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Touchdown at Montreal Trudeau International Airport. Slowing us down is the speed brakes. Don't need the reversers here, so I have the reversers set to idle. Auto brake seems to be doing its job. And there we go. Down to 80 knots. And we can vacate right. That, ladies and gentlemen, was a decent arrival, if I've ever seen one. Not the most perfect one. It allowed me the opportunity to showcase Tobii Eye Tracker 5 perfectly. Let's vacate. Perfect. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Vacating at 26 knots. We can slow ourselves down a little bit. Up here, we can take the landing lights off, clean up. Runway turnoffs can come off, taxi light can stay on, and the strobe light can come off as well. And all we have to do now is taxi back to the parking terminal. Alright, so aircraft cleanup in progress. Let's also go ahead and turn the TCAS system back to standby. We no longer need that. Let's go ahead and make sure that all of the other systems are nominal. Flight directors can come off. What else can we do here? Everything else is pretty much good. But we can turn on the APU as well, so let's go ahead and do that. APU is coming on. Once again, you can see some of these skirmishes and some of the poor markings and everything like that on the overhead panel, thanks to Polystorm 3D's textures. Fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, do let me know down in the comment section below what you guys thought about that approach. Personally, I feel like the Kuro 787 still does need a little bit of work. The auto throttle system was giving me a lot of challenges as I was sort of descending into Montreal, and in the end, I had to take complete control over that. And then in an attempt to explain the Tobii Eye Tracker system during landing, I did manage to destabilize the approach procedure, thus leading to a bit of a harder landing. Of course, I would not have liked that, and we're going to be running over this pushback truck, which is doing something in the middle of the runway here, which is its own fault if you ask me. But overall, I think this was a pretty successful video. I do want to start doing more live streams on the channel as well, showcasing products like the Tobii Eye Tracker 5, as well as showcasing different aircraft and so on, like the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, like the 747, and various other add-on aircraft as well. So do let me know if you would like to see something like that, and I would be happy to bring it on the channel at some point as well. Let's go ahead and do a simple parking job right here. I don't think it's going to recognize that we are a Boeing 787. Does it indeed recognize that? Oh, it does. Yes, it does. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and get this in the center. It says turn to the left a little bit. I don't know if the VDGS is actually good on this scenery. So far, the performance seems to be pretty poor, so I wouldn't really say much about the VDGS. Okay, getting it in the center. There we go. Slowing ourselves down. We'll slow ourselves down. There we go. Stop. Perfect. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take off my glasses and talk to you guys one-on-one. Once again, the sweepstake campaign for the Tobii Eye Tracker 5 is indeed active, so do make sure to check it out in the description section of the video. It's active until October 9th, I believe, so you guys have a lot of time to get your entries in there. If you guys want to see more content just like this, do let me know down in the comment section below, and I would love to make more stuff like this for you guys. I do have some plans to do some fun, chill flights on my Discord soon, so if you guys would be interested in all that, do make sure to check out the Discord server as well. Once again, link down below in the description section of the video. With all that being said, guys, keep soaring high, and thanks for flying by.